1. The hotel I work at has 2 luggage carts. As I'm sure everyone here knows, guests are usually too lazy to roll them down the hall to the elevator, let alone bring them back to the lobby. This means that all it takes is 2 check-ins for the carts to disappear. Today that happened. Little did I know the meltdown it would cause. You only have 2 carts? Yes, I'm sorry, a large group just checked in, and they're using them. When will they be done? I'm not sure, ma'am, probably not long. Don't you have cameras? Pardon? Do you have cameras in the hotel so you can check where the carts are and go get me one? Oh, no, sorry, we only have them at main entrances. Well, isn't that convenient? The lady walks off, and I forget about her until she comes back to the lobby, huffing and puffing. Well, I've gone to every floor and there are no carts. Where are they? Ma'am, like I said, the group that checked in before you. What rooms are they in? Tell me and I'll go take a cart back from one of them. Yeah, I can't do that. Why not? It's a security issue. To get me a cart? It's a security issue to tell you a guest's room number without their consent. She says nothing and goes back to the elevator, comes back down a bit later. 411, there's a cart in 411, the maid told me. I waited outside and they still have it in there. It's been about 20 minutes since the group checked in for a family reunion with tons of stuff. Ma'am, I understand you'd like a cart, but I can't control other people and they had a lot of luggage to bring in. They're probably unloading it. You cannot harass them or go to the room again. We've stayed here before. I've never had this issue. I have back problems. I'm 76 years old. My husband is 79. He has a heart condition. And you're telling me we can't go take that cart back from them? All I'm telling you is that you have to wait your turn. I am sorry, but there isn't a time limit on the carts. All I can offer you is help with your bags, if you would like. I can carry my own damn bags. I'm not going to tip you just because you won't get me a cart. My method with these people is usually to kill them with kindness. A tip isn't necessary. I'd be happy to help you. But this old windbag wasn't having it. Happy to help me except for doing what I ask and getting me a cart. At this moment, a woman comes back with one of the carts and my stomach drops. I have the overwhelming urge to jump over the desk and stand between them, but I just watch as the older lady jabs her finger at the other. You, finally! You know other people need to use these carts. Were you even going to bring it back? The woman looks at me wide-eyed, then back at this deranged woman. Yes, that's what I'm doing. Well, it's about time. She snatches the cart and slams it into the automatic doors, so it veers to the side. I go to help and she screams, Get away! I'm not tipping you! Me, the confused other guest, and now my manager who heard the yelling, watch on as this woman steers the cart and rolls it to her car. I hid in the back whenever she came through the lobby after that, because she would really glare at me in the most cartoonishly funny way. I didn't trust myself not to burst out laughing. 2. I work at a lovely independent hotel with prices hovering anywhere from $180 to $220 for a standard room. You get free parking, pool and fitness center, and an actual hot breakfast cooked by actual people, provided you pay our astounding $10 resort fee per night. Now, do I appreciate the practice of hiding fees behind the words plus tax? No, but I feel the exact way they count on when they introduce these kinds of fees. Who gives a shit? It's $10.60 in tax. One fateful weekend day, we were checking in guests for a wedding on site, and one man puts his foot down and declares he is not paying. Great, right, okay, next in line, we will cancel your room for you. No, he insists he will not pay because he was not informed of it, and we should take it off. The lady checking him in informs him that the fee and total are shown on his confirmation, and on the paperwork in front of you, and on the price breakdown on your wedding invitation. But aha, he says, as he reaches into his old man's sweatpants and procures his iPhone 5, this charge was not labeled. Lo and behold, the breakdown of the total has the taxes and resort fee listed under the umbrella of taxes and fees. but nowhere is a resort fee mentioned. Brilliant legal maneuvering thwarted by the fact that he is taking up a much-needed station with 40 people in line, check in or leave. The man grumbles and checks in. Days later, I arrive for a lovely Labor Day shift, hear about the old man from the co-worker that checked him in, and, in good faith, make fun of the penny-pinching older folk. Then they're off, and this time it's for the chair I'm not supposed to have and the Reddit I'm not supposed to be on. Suddenly, 6 hours later, a phone call, I pick it up. I thank him for calling and say what's up. This is the legal counsel for Mr. Smith, and want to discuss the matter that happened over the weekend. That there was some confusion and a rude front desk worker that caused it. Oh no, sir, you must be mistaken. I am familiar with the case. Your client made a scene at the desk over a $10 resort fee he claimed not to have been made aware of. He booked the reservation himself and agreed to the fee months ago. The man starts a sentence. I have to interrupt here. You're a lawyer? Yes. What do you practice? And word for word he said, just general counsel, but I am licensed in the state of confusion. Okay, did you have any other questions? Can I get that receipt? Oh, sure you can. I can send it to the email he provides. A company email for a firm his dad runs. Nebo baby worth millions, calling on his day off to intimidate us for $10.60. 3. I was going through old pictures on my phone to clear out space, and I came across the ones I took this particular night, so I wanted to share it because it's still super funny to me. So, I am a night auditor. Luckily for me, my hotel tends to be really quiet after about 10:30 p.m., and this night was no exception. I did my paperwork, had my smoke break, and was beginning to set up the bare bones of breakfast so I could speed through the actual prep once it got closer to 6 a.m. At around 3 a.m., a guy comes in. He seems relatively normal, maybe a little in need of a shower, but he has a bag with him and doesn't draw attention to himself. He barely acknowledges me and makes his way over to the guest computer, so I assume he's probably printing out a boarding pass for an early flight, or something, and pay him no mind. I finish up setting up the stuff for breakfast, and decide to go chill in the back for a while. I completely forget he's there pretty quickly. He's quiet, he's not asking me anything, whatever. Live and let live. Maybe an hour passes, and I step out to heat up some food for myself. I'm a little weirded out by the fact that he's still there, but whatever. I'm not about to pick a fight with some random dude over him using the computer in an empty lobby. The way the lobby is set up, I have to walk directly behind the guest computer to get out from behind the desk. So, as I'm walking by, I glance up and catch a glimpse of what's on the screen. It looks like he's on Google Images at first. The screen is just a lot of shots of people, men, waist down. They all have pants on, though, and they're all, at least to my bad eyesight, in relatively similar poses. So I kind of shrug it off, assuming he might be clothes shopping or something. I go to heat up my food and park myself at one of the tables. Now, if you know how guest computers work, you know they're locked down pretty hardcore, and have all sorts of weird admin things on them that I know nothing about. They're set up like that to prevent, I don't know, randos coming in and trying to look up porn in public or something. If you're determined, I'm sure there are ways to bypass them, but I'm not aware of how. To be fair, neither did this guy. Another 15-ish minutes pass, and suddenly I hear him clicking around super fast. Right as I look up, he jumps up from the chair, looks at me with terror, and sprints out the front door. It's then I notice that the computer screen looks weird. Normally, it cycles through some pre-approval hotel propaganda pictures, or just defaults to the home screen. But now it's just a black screen with what looks like a search bar floating free in the middle of it. Confused, I get closer to take a look, and sure enough, I'm right. This guy has somehow managed to completely break the browser and home screen, and now there's just the search bar in 3 words. Football player butts. It was so ridiculous, I burst out laughing. and took a couple of pictures to send to my manager. I had to force restart the computer because I could not for the life of me figure out how to fix what this dude had done. By the time I was back at work a couple of days later, it was back to normal, so I guess he didn't break it as badly as I'd assumed at the time. I've worked at this hotel for a while now, and I have tons of stories of weirdos and just general insanity, including a lady who tried to lock me in her room because she wanted me to buy her food, the guy who tried to fistfight my small female coworker when she told him no to his request, and more. This one still makes me laugh, though, so I figured I'd share. 4. This is from earlier this summer, mid-July, roughly. I own a small 16-room hotel with my wife. It has an attached 3-bedroom house which we live in, and aside from our 4 housekeepers, we do everything here. We have put a lot of work into renovating the place, and over the last 6 years have done a lot of improvements which have resulted in us being successful enough that I quit my day job, and we both do this full-time now. As a result, we take a lot of pride in our place, and being that it's also our home, don't put up with bullshit. We take turns doing all the guest interactions and manning the front desk and follow a schedule. Much earlier in the year, my wife spoke with someone representing the wedding party. I can only assume the bride, but I honestly don't remember. We have learned that it's bad for business to allow wedding parties to book blocks of rooms on the assumption that guests will call and reserve them. They wound up booking 7 rooms. This entire time, they were completely disorganized. Didn't know the dates, didn't know how many people, didn't know how many rooms they wanted. They called to make reservations, but honestly, had not put any thought into it beforehand. So just taking the reservations was a huge pain in the ass. We pride ourselves on our top-notch customer service, and my wife helped them get everything figured out regardless and made sure they were sent email confirmations for everything. About 2 months later, they called and cancelled 2 rooms, which was fine. We had tons of notice, so we cancelled them and emailed the confirmation. Check-in day arrives, and of course they show up around 11:30 a.m. Check-in is at 3 p.m. without calling ahead or arranging an early check-in. We were fully occupied the night before and cleaning was underway, but nowhere near ready to check them into their 5 rooms. I was working the front desk that day, so asked the housekeepers to focus on the wedding rooms, and work to get them ready as soon as possible. Again, because customer service. As expected, they are completely disorganized. Don't know who gets what room and expect me to just figure it out. I ultimately did figure things out, but then they mentioned their 6th room. I review everything and only see 5 booked. And double and triple check everything, and advise they only have 5 because they cancelled 2. Immediately, the father of the bride is on my case because he claims that it was only supposed to be 1 room cancelled. So I ask for some sort of confirmation or anything to show me a mistake was made. Of course, they can't provide anything, and I'm playing a bit dumb because I am the one who took the call to cancel 2 rooms and can see the confirmation email we sent them clearly, and offer to print out a copy for them. After some back and forth, they advise they will just book another room elsewhere. Because I'm fully booked that night. I even offered to pay for it if they can provide some sort of documentation that only 1 room was cancelled, knowing full well they can't. It took about 1.5 hours to get them checked in fully, and this meant their rooms were all clean by the time the nightmare check-in was complete. So I breathe a sigh of relief, thinking, okay, the headache is over. It's a wedding party, so obviously my fun is just beginning. Being a small, family-operated motel, we don't have a 24-hour front desk. And that night it closed at 11. As mentioned above, we live on site. So if there is an emergency, lockout, etc., you can still ring a doorbell at the office and someone is still able to help out. At 12:30, I'm about to head to bed when I see 2 clearly intoxicated people I don't recognize staggering up to the office on the cameras. All I could think was, oh no, you better not ring my bell at 12:30 for some stupid bullshit. Of course, they start ringing it repeatedly until I am able to get to the office and open the door. They inform me they are wedding guests, but not part of the party who had rooms reserved, and need to get into the mother of the groom's room right now and demand I give them keys. These people were not polite, they were aggressive and extremely rude. I stay cool and politely and calmly explain I cannot just give out keys to my guests' rooms to random people. They double down and start getting very rude and aggressive, calling me stupid. It's really important, blah blah blah. And they tell me they are there to take some purses. At this point I laughed and said there is no way I'm giving out keys to some random drunk assholes who clearly intend to steal from my guests. Get off my property or I'm calling the police. This turns into them shouting and freaking out as I stand firm. Get off my property is all I respond with. After a few minutes, they realize they aren't going to get anywhere and just stagger away from the office door. I go back to my living room and am glued to the cameras. Immediately, I see the male unzip his pants and start pissing in my parking lot. I already found them pretty irksome. So I head outside and quite loudly tell him twice, "Put your dick away, you animal." Now I'm absolutely calling the cops. They ultimately did head off my property and hang out on the curb of the highway out front. Off my property. I called the cops regardless. The guy was publicly urinating drunk in public and exposing himself to my guests. Not okay. While waiting for the cops to arrive and keeping an eye on these people, I see two other wedding guests return in a car and park in front of their room. This was the only nice, polite, and friendly couple in the group. I liked them and didn't lump them in with the rest. They obviously recognized the two idiots standing out at the curb, so they head over and talk to them, clearly to ask what's going on. They talk for a minute, and I laughed pretty hard when they both just start shaking their heads and walked away from the other two. Ultimately, a minivan pulled up and picked up the two idiots and left. I called the cops back and said, "Don't bother coming, they're gone," and thought this time, okay, that's got to be the end of it. Right? Of course not. The next morning, the mother of the bride calls and explains the mother of the groom is in the drunk tank and was charged with a DUI. She was the van driver, and the crazy drunk idiot at my door that night was her boyfriend. They ask me what can be done to get into the mother of the groom's room so they can get her purse and bring it to her at the police station. I say only the person whose name is on the registration card can access that room, and made an exception, saying she can call me to ask me to go into the room and give her purse to a designated person. So all this happened, we get her stuff out and given to the mother of the bride. Everyone else is eventually checked out, and thought that was that. 2 weeks later, we get a call from the police. They advise us the drunk idiot boyfriend is being charged with domestic assault for headbutting the mother of the groom. Apparently, after picking him up from the curb, they went back to the wedding, proceeded to continue being drunk idiots, got kicked out, and returned to my motel. They got in an argument in the parking lot, and he headbutted her in the face. He is claiming he just lost his balance, it was not an assault, and they wanted to know if we might have camera footage. So my wife found the footage of him clearly assaulting her, and handed it over to the cops with a big grin on her face. Five. To start off, I work at a hotel where all of the rooms have full kitchens, which means they have fridges, which also means their fridges have ice makers. All they have to do is flip the switch and boom, 10 minutes later they have ice. We have no ice machines on any of the floors. We only have 2 small ones in the kitchen, which is all the way across the lobby and behind the breakfast area. An annoying inconvenience for me or any of my co-workers who have to get these entitled people ice. Anyways, to the story. It was the day before a big event in town. Over 50 arrivals. A woman comes in with her husband, they check into their room. Roughly 20 minutes pass, with my coworker and I checking a small handful of people. I finish checking in a regular when said woman comes back up, the literal ice dispenser bucket in her hands. She had wrangled from the freezer in the same time she could have flipped the switch and started making the ice. I greet with a smile. Despite her constant glare, she immediately jumps to it.
I need ice.
Me being the absolutely polite front desk associate I am, I say, yes, of course. There are ice machines in the room. Just flip a switch and you'll get ice. As I say this, I take the ice bucket from her and start walking to the kitchen where we keep the ice. This woman follows me on my heels and starts berating me how amazing she is.
I'm a high-tier member. I always stay here. I always get ice. Is that a problem?
I tell her no, it's not, and shut the door on her to get the ice from the kitchen. I fill it to the brim with her precious frozen water, enough to last hours. I open the door of the kitchen, and she's standing there with a scowl on her face. She repeats what she previously said several times and marches up to the desk. She had asked my name too, and of course I lovingly gave it to her. Ice Lady stops, stands at the desk, and immediately asks my coworker,
Does Oh No Noodles have a problem getting me ice?
My coworker explains that I was simply explaining that there's ice machines in the room, for her convenience. So proceeds to the following phrases.
I'm high-tier. I always get ice. Does she have a problem? I don't understand. I'm a high-tier member. I always get ice. Why is it a problem now?
But my favorite of all,
why should I have to wait 20 minutes for a single cube of ice for my cocktail?
So, only an hour into my shift, I was screamed at by an angry alcoholic over ice. To top it off, they sent my sales manager a nasty email about how I didn't get them ice and they feel so disrespected. They've never been treated that way before. It's absolutely annoying. I get asked to get people ice all the time. I don't mind, most of the time. But seriously, make your own ice. There's fridges in the rooms for a reason. Plus, if you so desperately need ice, go get some from the Walmart literally next door. Or the gas station 5 minutes away. It's not even brand standard for us to get these people ice. That's my story, though, and my grievances against ice. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Coahw, episode 126. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please do poke the like button. Thank you kindly. And if you'd like to get the videos a little bit early, then you can support me through my Patreon, which is linked in the description. You'll also find a link to the Hellfreezer merchandise store on Teespring. And you can make donations during streams and videos like this one. While you don't have to do it, and while you don't have to do any of those things, it does make the tough times a little less tough. All right. I have a birthday shout-out to do, one I forgot to do last week, and that's my fault. Today's birthday shout-out goes to Julie Abraham, who was 51 on the 27th of December. Sorry for missing it, Julie, and a big happy birthday to you. I hope you had a great birthday, and I hope you're still taking time to spoil and treat yourself in the days that come. I don't think anyone would judge you for celebrating, as it happened near the end of the month all the way through into October. And before I go, I'd like to sing Happy Birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Julie. Happy birthday to you. All right, and before we go, we'll move on to Hellfreezer's question of the day. As it is now October, we're not far away from Christmas. So when do you start planning your Christmas shopping? I usually start looking at things in November, if I need to buy presents. I don't always, but sometimes I do. And that's what I'll probably do now, just to make sure things arrive on time. But generally speaking, I don't really start any sooner than that. And as far as getting things in for myself for Christmas, like foodstuffs and such that I usually get, I do that probably mid-December at the absolute earliest. I don't want to leave it last minute because all the good stuff will be gone, but I think mid-December, at least for foodstuffs, is fine. But let me know what you think in a comment below. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.